Am I the a-hole for saying I'll be driving myself and paying for my own room on the upcoming family vacation so I won't have to be a babysitter? I, 23 male, was repeatedly stuck playing the part of helper and babysitter on family outings. I had to move out of my parents' house because I kept being forced to help watch my 3 nephews. Last year, we took a family vacation in summer to the coast. I rode along with my parents, and they paid for my hotel room. Only, I had to share that room with 3 rowdy boys because my sister and her husband wanted a room to themselves. I was promised time to do my own things on the vacation, but instead I ended up having to help with these kids. I complained to everyone about it and was reminded I was there for free. And then we pretty much just did only one thing I wanted to do, which was tour an art gallery. I like doing this whenever I'm at the coast, but the kids find it boring. This year my parents have a beach trip planned for June, and they assumed I'd be riding along the same way as last year. But I refused. I said I'd be driving myself and paying for my own hotel stay to have my own room. My parents were shocked and tried to remind me of the cost. I said it was no worry. I've got a good job and a decent running car. I can more than afford it. That's when the but started. I stated the previously listed things as why I'll be driving myself and paying for myself. I want to be able to enjoy this vacation as an adult and not be treated like a child like last year. My parents told my sister, and she called to blow up at me that I'll be ruining the vacation if I'm off doing my own thing, while she has to wrangle her 3 boys. I ended up yelling at her that last year all she did was rope me into her mess. I didn't really get to do much of anything I wanted to do, and I was treated like the bad guy for wanting to just go to an art gallery. I'm a grown man. I deserve my own vacation too. Now my sister is not speaking to me, and my parents are still trying to convince me to just ride with them to keep the peace. I'm still refusing, but the pressure is getting to me. Am I the a-hole for not giving in? I know they'll have a pretty hard time when they won't have another person there to help. Edit. It's barely been an hour since I posted, but my sister is apparently a Reddit lurker in the mornings, and she saw my post. Not only is she furious with me, but she's also upset no one in the comments is siding with her. To make it short, she went on a big rant about how it's so hard to be a parent to triplets, and the least I could do is help because I'm young and single, and she needs a break. I stood my ground on my decision, and now she's calling our parents to get them involved. I'm expecting a call from them any minute. Update? Well, I'm off work now, so I can tell more of what went down. I guess you could say it's over. My sister got our parents involved. They looked at my post and were absolutely horrified by the continuous influx of commenters. Yes, they're very angry with me that I posted here, but I told them that if they just listened to me to begin with, I'd have never needed to. I'm sick of the whole keep the peace mentality that sacrifices me to placate my sister. They in turn went off on my sister, and to make a long story short, the whole vacation has been canceled. The hotel wasn't booked yet anyway, but my parents are arguing with my sister. My sister is blaming me, and my nephews are crying because they aren't going to the beach. My sister called me at lunch and basically implied I have no life, which is why I have time to help. I recorded that and told our parents, and that's currently what they're fighting about. Small update. I wasn't gonna update again, but here's a little more. Parents said that they won't ever push babysitting of my nephews on me again, and have agreed that what happened last year was unfair to me. Right now they're very angry with my sister for telling me I should help her because she thinks I have no life. My sister is playing the victim, and my brother-in-law is basically saying nope to the whole mess and spending most of his time at work. Am I the a-hole for letting my date pay for dinner? I, 19 male, asked a girl 18 female out to dinner. When it was time to pay, she said I got it and went into her purse. At that point, I literally had the receipt thing in my hand. I thanked her and handed it to her. She hesitated a bit, but she paid and we went home happy, or so I thought. So from my perspective, I really can't see what I did wrong here. From asking her out until receiving the check, I intended to pay. After she offered to pay, I thanked her and allowed her to pay. The next day, I woke up to angry texts. She said I put her into an awkward position, forcing her to pay the bill. I asked what she wanted me to do differently. Apparently, I should have argued, insisted that I would pay. My friends agree with her. Now, I'm wondering if I should just apologize and pay her back. Am I the a-hole for being upset with my son for finding a job without telling me? My son is 18, he is going to be attending community college and is living with me, my husband, and his 2 younger half-sisters. The other day I found out that he found and accepted a job without telling me. I was upset with him about it, and the reason for that is that first of all, he should have told me since we live in the same house, and also, And more importantly, now I'm left without someone to stay with the girls from 3 to 8 where my shift start ends. My son is usually the one to stay home with the girls, and his new job is during these hours. So, one way or another we are impacted. He told me his friend found him this job and it just happened. But I don't think it did, because he knew he had to give up staying with his sisters while I work. My husband travels most of the time, he's a pilot, and paid childcare is a no for me. My son said I shouldn't be surprised by him trying to work to save money, to be able to pay for himself, but that is just absurd since he literally lives with us, without having to pay for anything except for his own entertainment. He said he needed the job, and he wasn't realistically going to stay and watch his sisters for days on end, especially he doesn't get paid for it. We kept arguing, and my husband got involved, and he was upset, saying that my son had no respect for us. My son basically had a like it or not attitude with us and kept refusing to discuss this with us, saying we have no right to be upset with him and should just accept it. But I think that he's being inconsiderate of my husband's, and I struggle to provide for the family as a whole. This should mean something to him, but he acted selfishly. Edit, okay. It seems that I did not mention the reason why the babysitter option isn't ideal, and is because my daughters don't want a babysitter. They're both dealing with some issues and are uncomfortable being with a stranger at home. Besides that, my son decided to stay with them, and we didn't ask him or anything. Edit 2, okay. Some of you here are implying or suggesting that I'm making my son to be the girl's babysitter, but that is in fact not true. He doesn't do much for them, just stays home with them while he studies or plays video games. He adores his sisters and only stays with them when he wants to. Otherwise, we wouldn't force him. Also, my husband said the girls are too young for therapy, and I agree with him on that.
Am I the a-hole for asking for a morning off from my baby on the weekends? My wife and I have a 6-month-old baby girl. She's mostly a stay-at-home mom. She works 2 days a week and her sister watches the baby. I work full-time and go to school 1 day a week. We've always had an arrangement where she takes care of the household duties, cooking, cleaning, and now baby care, while I happily support her monetarily. Honestly, we are both living our dream life, and my wife does an absolutely spectacular job taking care of me and our little one. On the weekends, we share baby duty. We usually make sure each of us gets our own alone time to do whatever we want. However, our girl has hit a bit of a sleep regression, waking up every 2 hours. Since my wife breastfeeds, she's always taken care of the baby full-time overnight. She's a light sleeper and, unfortunately, has insomnia, whereas I'm a deep sleeper and wouldn't wake up for baby cries anyways. Recently, my wife has been asking me to wake up with the baby both days on the weekends so she can get an extra hour of sleep. Baby wakes up around 7 a.m. I get the baby dressed and take over for that hour. But sometimes, I want to be the one that gets to sleep in an extra hour. I brought this up to her and she says, well, she's happy to let me nap during the day. She really needs that RBC. She can nap like I can. We got into an argument about it, and she said I'm being very insensitive when I know she is very exhausted and can nap during the day, and she struggles going back to sleep every time the baby wakes up. But I'm exhausted too. Work wears me out, and school days are long. And I sometimes want the hour in the morning. I don't want to spend my off time napping. I want to play video games and chill out. I've gotten mixed opinions on who is in the wrong here, or if there even is anyone in the wrong. Am I the a-hole for asking us to share mornings off for sleep?
Am I the a-hole for asking future mother-in-law not to tell my toddler they make her sad? My 28 female oldest son is 3-year-old. My fiance's 32 male. Mom came over a few weeks ago, and when leaving, asked my 3-year-old for a hug. He initially said no and walked away. Came back unprompted and hugged her. She said, oh good BC, I was going to be sad. My fiance's and some best friends edits. I sent her this. Summed up, we're teaching 3-year-old that he's in control of his own body and self-defined boundaries regardless of how it makes someone feel. If he's trying to make someone upset on purpose, that's a different story. We don't want him to go against his boundaries to make someone feel better. I'm sure you just want to show he's important to you, but we'd appreciate it if you could show it in a different way. Future mother-in-law, I'd appreciate you not sending me these kinds of messages and we have these conversations in person. Thank you. I don't really see a difference, to be honest. I would have said the same things in person. I didn't see this topic as one that needs to be discussed too much. If you have a response, I'm obviously open to hearing it, but it won't change the fact that saying things that could make my kids feel guilty and responsible for others' feelings will be accepted. Again, You can show that you care for the boys, but not in ways that make them feel bad. Future mother-in-law. BC having adult conversation via text I believe are pretty cowardice. When you address me or any other adult via text, it's not really appropriate. So I will end this conversation with if you can't talk things over with me instead of telling me what not to do, then that in itself is a problem. So I'm done. Again, I would say the same words to you in person. Nothing cowardice about the method I choose to say these words. The reason I didn't see it made sense to do it in person is BC I'm essentially asking you a favor, and it's your choice to acknowledge it or not. I wasn't looking for a debate about it, just asking that you please not make certain comments to my babies. I'm alright if she prefer me to discuss something like this in person, but why ignore my initial message? Seems like blame shifting, diverting to me. She then went to my fiance and texted him, so by now I'm sure I've told you she was messaging me. If you guys have something you need to say to me, just say it. They had a 30-minute phone call, and my fiance told me she said she's already distanced herself from coming over, and she'll distance herself more if she has to. It's not something she was doing intentionally. I never said it was intentional, just bringing her attention to this and potential repercussions. Chose to message her, BC I'm horrible at having deep, stressful convos in person. I have ADHD, so can't process what I want to say and what other person has said and formulate responses, etc. Also, this is a boundary, so not rely up for discussion or debate. Either she chooses to stop or doesn't. Am I the a-hole for asking this, or how I brought it up?